Hi, I'm Susan Buchanan, and I'm honored to be one of the nominees for Bishop Suffragan of the Diocese of North Carolina. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to let you get to know me a bit more, and I'd like to begin by introducing you to my family. I currently serve the small parish of Christ Church in North Conway. We're a pretty typical small parish in a not-so-typical location. Driving down Main Street in North Conway, you cannot miss the most unique feature of our town, Mount Washington. The highest peak in the Northeast, it is the home of the world's worst weather. Mount Washington stands in the middle of the White Mountain National Forest, an area of spectacular beauty that draws hundreds of thousands of tourists in all seasons. Here, Galilee is a tourist town. Bishop Curry has offered you an amazing image in the vision of following Jesus out into Galilee, a Galilee very similar to our world today. And if we are going to follow Jesus out into Galilee, that means that we need to re-envision how we do church, and maybe even more importantly, how we be church. So I'd like to offer you another image. Jesus, when he was looking for images for his parables, would look in the culture around him and find the sower sowing seed, plants growing up into wheat, a woman taking a pinch of yeast and kneading it into the dough, a shepherd looking for a lost sheep. Our shared cultural images so often today seem to come from TV shows. So, with that in mind, here's the image I'd like for us to play with a little bit. Extreme Makeover, Church Edition. Now, I'm not talking about bringing in the bulldozers and taking down our churches, but I am thinking about a process of building something new. An extreme makeover begins when it is obvious that the old structure simply will no longer do, and something new is envisioned. That takes a design team, people who can ask questions and listen to needs and envision possibilities. And it takes builders and landscapers and lots of hands at work. And getting outside of the walls of our churches and going into Galilee is something that's going to need new vision and lots of hands at work. In fact, without the support of a large group of people, there'd be nothing to look at when you tried to move that bus. Of course, when we think of extreme makeover, there is a cheerleader who stands out front and does a lot of talking, but we all know that it could never happen with only that person. I believe that the Diocese of North Carolina can lead the way to build something new as you bring the best of what the Episcopal Church has to offer into new settings. I truly believe that it is your own commitment and passion and energy that will make it happen. Your own commitment to going out into Galilee is so much more important than who you elect as your next suffragan bishop, but I'd love to journey there with you. If you moved that bus here in North Conway today, what would you see? First, you'd still see a lot of what has been here since 1867. We still gather to worship. God calls us into a community of faith, and following Jesus is not a solo enterprise, so we open our red doors and welcome all who would come to join us as we sing hymns accompanied by our wonderful organ and are fed by word and sacrament. I might never get in the pulpit to preach, and you wouldn't have found a woman celebrating the Eucharist back in our beginnings, but all in all, there really isn't a lot that has changed about our worship. But other things are changing. Going out into Galilee here has been deeply rooted in new ecumenical connections. What began as a weekly lectionary study lunch for area clergy has grown into new ministries outside any of our walls. The Lutherans have led the way in connecting us with those needing help getting their homes ready for winter. The Episcopalians have offered Lenten adult book discussion groups for a couple of years in the local coffee shop. The American Baptist pastor leads a weekly men's Bible study that meets in the hardware store. A congregational pastor has begun talks with the staff of his favorite pub who would like to have a chance to pray together, probably after some late night shift. The Methodists are leading a weekly Bible study in a local cafe. And the Episcopalians, seeing how many kids in the community go to the community center for a variety of programs, have begun to offer Christian education at that center on Wednesday evenings, seeking to reach out to the families who won't come in the doors of the church on Sunday mornings, but who will bring their kids to a community center.
From our churches to our pubs, from hardware store to cafe, from coffee shop to community center, the love of Jesus is reaching out throughout our community. Jesus is on the move in Galilee, here in North Conway. I can't wait to see what it looks like in your town.